Hello, welcome. If you're new around here, my name's Shanti, and in today's video, we were originally gonna do a smaller pond. We were originally gonna make a smaller build, but that didn't end up happening, and one of the first steps in how this all started was me clearing out this hill. And from right here, you can, actually, you probably can't see what I was going for. Even I can't see what I was going for. So we ended up demolishing this whole thing and doing a new idea. So the first thing I decided was to start tunneling through the mountain that we were building on so that I could get into the valley, and we were gonna end up using this valley instead where we would place our pond at. I mean, at the end of this video, I'm not even sure if you can call it a pond anymore. But before I could get started building, I first had to fill in and kind of sculpt the valley before. That way I knew what I was working with. I also expanded the tunnel, or it's not really a tunnel afterwards, it's more of just a narrow pathway through the mountain. After I finished that pathway, I started working on the valley again. That way I could figure out how big I wanted this kind of pond to be. Afterwards, this is what I ended up coming up with, and this is kind of the basis of where I would start building. But before I could start building, I had to go out and go to different biomes to collect new resources, new building materials. That way I could really make this build, you know, really shine. One of the first new materials I got was bamboo, and we actually had to travel far for the bamboo jungle, and we'll be going back later in the video, so I'll show you then how I built another portal and stuff like that. But the second block I wanted to get was redwood, so we had to go ahead and travel to a redwood forest and get that block as well. So I noticed I was running out of deep slate, so I decided to go down into the caves, that way I could get some more. And I ended up harvesting a lot more than what I needed. I ended up getting 2 backpacks filled of just netherite, or deep slate. Oh my. Anyways. After getting more deep slate, I went ahead and went back to the bamboo jungle that I found. And as I said earlier, here's the nether portal that I made to get there. But I wasn't here for bamboo, I was actually here for vines. That way I can make a vine farm. I went ahead and made that vine farm, but while I was waiting, because the vines took a while to grow, I just decided to make some mud blocks. The reason I was making mud blocks was because I wanted to have the whole bottom of the pond just all mud blocks, because I think it would look good for the setting. So I went ahead and, you know, cleared everything out first, and then I went ahead and went back and replaced it all with mud. Though I did have to clear out a whole mangrove biome before I had enough mud to actually fill the bottom of the pond. And after doing so, here are the results of that. Of course, we still have to, you know, go ahead and fill it all in with water now. But before I did that, I went ahead and outlined the whole pond with some of these deep slate bricks. And after filling it with water, I think it came out nicely, but obviously we still need to add more details and add more stuff to the water to really make it look nice. But I decided that I would take a short break from that and go back to working on more of like the walkway, or like kind of entrance before you enter the whole pond. I wanted to work on that first before I actually work on the larger portion of, you know, this build. I don't want this whole video to be just me talking over the whole, you know, whole process of everything I did. I'm not gonna do that for every single little thing, but for the next couple of minutes, I'm just gonna, you know, stop yapping and I'm just gonna show you the clips and some context clues you can put together how I made all this stuff. Anyways, I'm back. So, after building that bridge, I realized that the valley, or sorry, the pathway that I made wasn't aligned with the bridge. So I ended up having to make the pathway one block out again. So I had to destroy a whole row of just blocks. After doing so, I went back to making the Tory gate that I was originally doing. I'm not really going to show the whole building process because it's honestly pretty simple, easy. Anyone could understand it just by looking at it, really. But I did go ahead and add some more details to make it look nicer. I started working on the pathway again. I was going to make the whole pathway deep slate, and to the sides of it, the walls, I was going to make out of just bamboo blocks. While I was waiting for more bamboo to grow, I added some more details to kind of like, I'm gonna call this like kind of garden area. I don't really know what to call it, but I figured adding more details was gonna make it look better. And at the end of this, I was right. Honestly, when it comes to builds, I think adding the little details matters so much. Because when you start adding all those little details, they all like pile up on each other and end up making something really nice out of the whole thing. I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating this too much, but I definitely learned a lot through building just this entire like past couple of days while I was making this build. Finally, I had finished filling in all of the wall with bamboo, but now what I wanted to do was have have water flow out of the wall, just on top of the bamboo. And after adding some sea pickles for lighting, I think this turned out really well. And of course, I immediately got to work on the next thing I wanted to do, which was make some more Tory gates for the other side. And for all the Tory gates that I made, like for this next segment, they're all like identical, besides, you know, scaling some of them down. Which, looking back at it, I wish I did the opposite way instead of the way I did it. I wanted kind of like the smaller ones placed not as basically just swap them around. You know what? The middle stays, just swap the big one and the small one around, and I think it would have looked nicer. But we can't change that now, and this is what the final result of that ended up being. So after that, I decided to make the whole like cliffside much bigger and taller, but it kind of didn't look right. So I wanted to plant trees instead, that way it would look nicer with the trees. But I also wanted to grab some more trees, so I went to different biomes collecting different saplings and different, you know, just plants in general. Ended up planting so many trees, just all of it surrounding the whole pond now. I mean, feel free to comment down below if I went a bit overboard or not, but I think it ended up looking really nice and really brought some much needed life. Anyways, I still wasn't done with my trees, you know, I haven't outdone myself yet. What I wanted to do is add a huge cherry blossom on the right side of this pond, because I think it would be a really good piece just for the whole build. So before I started building, I decided to clear out this whole area just of water. I did that with sponges that I had, and I also wanted to, you know, build it out of dirt first. I would then go back and replace it, but here's how that turned out. So here's kind of like the layout of how I want the tree to look. I kind of want it to, you know, curve, and I went ahead and added all the branches. Of course, it'll look better with, you know, actual wood and trees. So that's exactly what I got to work doing. I planted a bunch of saplings to get wood and a bunch of leaves as well. This took me a pretty long time actually. But of course, after I got all the resources I needed, I got to work on it immediately. Here's kind of like the halfway point, you know. I haven't finished everything, I'm still working on the branches, but here's how it's coming along. And I think it looks nice. After finishing off the branches, I got to the next step and started adding all the leaves. I got done, but then I realized it kind of didn't look right. That's when I realized that, yeah, I should probably add some leaves drooping down. That way it would look a lot better. And of course, you can't like leave any of the tree flat. You have to like add a whole bunch of these leaves drooping down even on like the inside of it, not just like the outer kind of ring of it. But finally, I can say it's finished, and here is how it turned out. In my opinion, I don't think it looked bad. I think this was definitely one of the better builds that I've done. Though it did suck that I did have to go back, and of course I had to fill the whole thing with water again, which was just another inconvenience. But after that, I started working on the tree because at daytime it would leave a pretty big shadow, and I didn't really want that, so I decided to add some lanterns hanging down from the tree. But I did end up running out of iron, so I had to go into the caves and actually get a lot of iron, which luckily I ended up getting like 3 stacks, which was really nice. And after that, I went back to adding some more lanterns. I even decided to add some lanterns inside the tree because I thought it would be just a really cool detail. I don't know. What do you guys think? Does it look nice? After finishing the tree, I went ahead and started adding all of the aquatic plant life. That way it would look more lively and not so empty. Along with adding some, plants, I also added some stone structures into the water just to, I don't know. Actually, I don't really know. I just kind of did it just to do it. Just because I could. I don't have an explanation for why I made a couch in the water. But no, I started working on the pathway. That way I could get across the... I'm just gonna call it a lake at this point. I'm gonna quit calling it a pond. But anyways, that's what I did. I added a stone pathway. That way I could get across without having to dip into the water. Now, after adding a little bit more detail off camera, this is how it turned out. I added some chimes I got, which is just from mod. I added a light source in the left side of the lake, that way it didn't look so empty. And I added a pasture so my Pokemon could just swim around in it. My water types. And honestly, this is beautiful. Like, I'm sorry if you don't agree with me, but yeah. Anyways, see you in the next one. Oh yeah, did I ever mention that this was supposed to be a koi pond?